Tewksbury Conservation Commission for June 19th, call the meeting to order. First item that's on the agenda, approval of minutes for May 1st, 2019.
So move with first and second.
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 All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for May 15th, 2019. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Table the June 5th minutes. We have 4 items on the agenda that we moved to the beginning as they're been asked for continuances. First item on the agenda, continued from June 5th, public hearing notice of intent for John Fineros, BTOG LLC, 2131 Main Street, map 96, lot 53, DEP number 3051070. The applicant is requesting a continuance to July 10th, 2019. Can I have a motion to?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a continued from June 5th public hearing. Notice of intent, Richard Montori, Town Manager, 984 Main Street, map and lot 4779, 4780, 4881, and 4893, DEP number 3051073. The applicant is requesting a continuance to July 10th, 2019. Can I have a motion to that
So
effect?
moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, continued from June 5th, a public hearing, notice of intent, Southern End Realty, 1420 Andover Street, map 39, lot 10, DEP number 3051076. The applicant is requesting a continuance to July 10th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, continued from June 5th, public hearing, notice of intent, John Fineros, ACC Realty, 1037 North Street and 1547, 1553, and 1563 Andover Street, map 39, lots 45 through 48, DEP 3051077. The applicant is requesting continuance to July 10th, 2019.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is continued from June 5th, a public hearing, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation in ANRAD. Mark Ginsburg, 300 Ames Pond Drive, map 66, lot 12, DEP 3051080. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Maureen Carroll for North Environmental Services. Here with me tonight is Mark Ginsburg, applicant for we filed an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to determine the resource area on this property. We have the town of Andover line along the northerly property line. This property directly abuts.
Explain one so you can see that.
Okay. Just a moment. Sorry, let me see. This property directly abuts Ames Pond. As part of the review, Stefania had suggested that Bill Manuel go out and review the wetland boundary. So I did that with Bill last month. We made a number of changes. The changes are highlighted in red on the plan. So specifically along the C-series boundary, 22C, 21C, 19, 17, 15, and 12C, we move those flags up gradient, as well as wetland flag 4A, 15A, and 31A. The rest of the boundary was fairly obvious, bottom of slope type of delineation in that area. In addition to that, Bill Manuel also asked that we look at for any potential vernal pools that are located out on the property, specifically the 2 isolated wetlands near the southerly portion of the plan, labeled as the E and the F series wetland.
Excuse me, could you use the microphone so I can hear better?
Can you hear me better now?
Well, I don't know yet.
Okay, so specifically, we looked at the two isolated wetlands, the E and the F series. The E series, I didn't see anything except for some mosquito breeding, and I found a bullfrog in that area, but nothing to actually certify it as a vernal pool. The F series itself was completely dry, so it doesn't meet the requirement for it to be holding water for a continuous of 2 months, where you actually have breeding amphibians. And the third area that he asked us to review was along the northerly portion of the property, along the B series, where it comes off of Jordan Lane. A portion of that wetland does dry up. The area that is on our property did have standing water. I didn't find any obligate species where we could certify the vernal pool in that location at that time. The time that I did look, there wasn't any egg masses. Those would have been gone by, geez, I think we went out the end of May, so those would have already expired. But I didn't see any obligate species to determine that as a certified vernal pool.
And Bill concur with that?
And Bill did concur with that, so I sent Bill my report, and he followed up with the review letter that I believe you have in front of you this evening.
All right, so we have the updated maps with bill manuals, updates included, right?
Yes.
Yep. And that was dated June 3rd?
The
But
latest.
revised through 6/13.
There was one last comment in his review letter regarding the buffer zone offsets on, I believe it was 8032 at the bottom of the plan. The buffer zone offsets expanded onto that parcel, and he had suggested removing that. So that's why there's a subsequent revision date of 6/13.
Okay. And there's an access road. What's this access road he was talking about? The ORAD should specify the area along the access drive has not been evaluated as wetlands.
That's the main road going into the property, and there's two lots that are in Andover that run part of this application. And that's why they run flagged out, they're not being developed at this time.
He just wanted to make the commission aware that there is additional wetlands in that parcel.
Right.
That's down out by 133.
All right. Okay. And so we got note of that. Adjusted the flags. The manual concurs no vernal pools in B, E, F, or B. Recommends. Now, he's talking about an ORAD. You wanted an ANRAD, right? ORAD. Okay. All right. Mr. Holland, do you have any questions?
It's fine with me.
Mrs. Mercer?
No, it looks like the latest set of plans agrees with what Bill has laid out, so it looks good.
After reading Bill Manuel's report thoroughly here, thorough report, I find it an excellent report. Also, nervous enrollment, reading up with the vernal pools, I think both reports are excellent and right to the point of the properties.
No, I'm good. It's good to me.
Common property line. Okay. All right. That's the D and G thing? All right. And that's, okay, so. All right. This is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on this matter, just step forward to the microphone to be heard. Hi, yep, just step up there and introduce yourself for the record.
You mean here?
Yep, just tap on the microphone, make sure it works.
Hello, I guess
Sounds
it's
good to me.
working. My name is Jean Olson. I live at 71 Overlook Drive, which is basically across the pond from the proposed change in zoning. And I guess my biggest question is, how many acres are in this Lot 3? And what's the percentage of wetlands that are part of this Lot 3? Because it would appear that there is a lot, not a lot, but very much wetlands that are going to be eliminated. Whether, a frog or, mosquito or whatever, it just would appear that a large section will be filled, mostly filled, and it'll change the whole character of the pond. Going back to when the apartments were put in, there were certainly some problems with that, and I would suspect that doing more changes will make it harder to believe that that's a natural type area. I get very concerned when I try to understand why the law was made and why there's always people who want to change it. The law was obviously made for the good of the land, good of the people, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think it's particularly just because somebody wants to build on there that it makes sense to change the rules. Why not just keep it the way it is and keep the law the way it was written? And that is to keep the wetlands as wetlands. And it seems like there's many places in Tewksbury that, I don't know about other towns, that have changed, well, every town, I guess, has to go through this. But since it's already been 350, more or less, apartments put on Ames Pond already, this is where they wanted to put the casino, this whole section, and then somebody was laughing earlier saying, well, we'll just drain the pond. There was about 4 years ago.
Ma'am, no one's draining the pond and no one's filling in any wetlands. What we're here for is to determine.
No, all right, I'll take that back. It just frustrates me.
What we're finding out here is where the wetlands are. We're
Right.
certainly not going to allow them to fill them. They're not going to fill the wetlands.
Well, there
They're
is
not gonna
one
even-
part on the map that was called Phil
That's already fill on upland.
Pile.
On upland. I believe that's upland, though.
That is located in Upland. That's an existing pile that's located on the site.
Right.
And it has been filled already?
No, that's an existing stockpile area that's located on the site. There has been no wetlands filled. We're not proposing any work. We're not proposing any wetland filling. This is just to determine the wetland boundary. No work is proposed.
Well, the last question I have then is, what is the percentage of wetlands as opposed to the rest of the land that is Lot 3? And I'd like to get an answer to that.
It's about 27 acres of upland and about, 4 acres of wetland.
Did you hear that answer, ma'am?
It's about, it's almost 30,
Sorry, I didn't hear.
through you, Mr. Chairman, it's almost 31 acres of land there, and it's about 27 acres of upland with about 4 acres of wetland.
So it's a fair, large amount, percentage-wise.
Yeah.
That's another reason.
Like I said, there's not going to be any loss of wetland. All right? We make sure that in Tewksbury, there's no filling in Tewksbury. We have no disturb zones, no build zones. And all the builders respect
So
that.
how would this change affect anything that's there?
We're not proposing to change
Right.
anything. This is to determine the wetland boundary only. There's no work proposed. If there is work to be proposed on this lot, you will be notified at that time.
So what they want to find out is what they can build by figuring out where the wetlands are, where is the upland, where can we put roads, where can we put buildings and whatnot, where can we put stormwater management. and then what can we possibly do on this site? So there's a whole bunch of engineering that needs to go on in the future for this. This is basically the first step in their process of developing undeveloped land.
And how do people that live in that area even protest the fact that the zoning would be eventually changed if there was enough?
Zoning is not an issue at this hearing. The zoning of the land is not an issue at this hearing.
And so, just quickly say again what is the...
So if I could just clarify, this board, the Conservation Commission, does not deal with zoning in town, so that would be a different board. So for this item on this agenda, the application was to determine where the wetlands are on site and nothing more. So I don't know if maybe you were thinking of a different meeting?
When is the next meeting?
That's up to the applicant to make further applications. Their next step would be to get like a notice of intent to build something on the property, but then again, that would also go in front of the planning board, anything that they would do there. And if there's any zoning changes, that would go in front of town meeting. All right? That's the process. It's real. We try and make it simple for developers. It's like follow the rules, follow the process. Don't fill in wetlands. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. And it's very regulated. The rules and regulations and the bylaws are set very firmly. We don't. There's no variances granted or anything like that. And so as long as they abide by the rules and regulations and bylaws of the town, follow the rules, the zoning rules, the zoning rules, stormwater management and all that, as long as they comply with the rules, regulations and bylaws, we give the approvals. We have third-party consultants also working for the town on our behalf. Our consultant was called Bill Manuel. He did a third-party review on our behalf as an expert and worked with their applicant too. So the town is very diligent in making sure that any information given to us has been reviewed professionally. So, all right.
I believe so.
We're trying. Okay.
I'm trying, yes.
We'll try our hardest. All right, so does anyone else here have any comments about this project that they want to go on the record for? All right. So it looks like we're ready to issue order of resource area delineation. We're just supposed to make a comment on it that
If I could. So for the ORAD, just as Bill recommended,
Yep.
it should reference his letter, and I think the 3 comments that he made was that there are possible additional wetlands on the southerly side of the long access drive that were not reviewed as part of this application. There's no vernal pool habitat associated with the B, E, and F wetlands, and then there's no bordering land subject to flooding on this site. And the ORAD should specifically be for bordering vegetated wetlands and isolated vegetated wetlands. Does that sound all right? Okay.
Sounds good.
Does that make sense to everyone here? Mm-hmm. I have a motion to that effect with the noted conditions. I'll move. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Joseph McBride, 117 Beach Street, map 68, lot 61. Hi, welcome. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Joseph McBride.
Monica
17
McBride? Sorry.
117 Beach Street.
Great. So we're here for a 2-car addition
Yes.
in a buffer zone. We're about 90 feet from the extended. what I see, it looks pretty thorough. Well, I get my bearings. Mr. Holland, do you have any issues with it?
No, it looks fine to me. It doesn't look like there's any disturbances or anything.
Yep, we have, no special, just erosion. So there is, property does slope down to the resource area, so we're looking to have erosion controls installed. Did Stefania talk to you about that at all?
No, I can put some wattles along.
Yep. That, straw wattles are good, okay. Ms. Mercer?
That looks good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, so we have the straw walls in place. We have erosion controls. You're over 90 feet from the wetlands. I don't see any other issues. So can I get a motion to do a negative determination? Public hearing, sorry. That's right. Anyone here to be heard on the matter for 117 Beach Street? Seeing no one rising, so we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And as for the request, can I get a motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. You're all set.
Great.
Thank you.
For a slight appeal period, but I don't think you'll have any issues with that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Next item on the agenda is a continued from June 5th, a public hearing request for determination of applicability, Carlos and Tanya Arruda, 100 Eastgate Road, map 51, lot 67. Hi, good evening.
How are you?
Just introduce yourself for the record, please.
Sure, Carlos Arruda, 100 Eastgate Road.
Hi, Tanya Arruda, 100 Eastgate Road.
All right, we're looking to do an above-ground pool, so we're not going to be doing any digging, which is good. And Stefania, how, you thought it was within 50 feet, but outside of 25, or?
It is within 50 feet. I believe it should be more than 25 feet from when I was out there. It looked like it would be, but we can always just make sure of that.
But there's plenty of upland available for our 10% rule.
It wouldn't apply for pools.
No,
so.
excellent. All right. Beautiful. Mr. Holland?
No questions?
Ms. Mercer?
Nope.
I'm good.
I'm fine.
All right. Going along well. No, this looks really good. Everything's, all the Ts are crossed and the Is dotted. You don't need any erosion control.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Are you on septic or town sewer?
Town.
You're on town, okay. The reason I asked that, I don't want anybody to put a swimming pool over their septic tank. It's not good.
All right. Okay, so there's a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on the matter for 100 Eastgate Road? Seeing no one rising, can I get a motion to?
Motion close.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And for the request, can I have a motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Come and get your paperwork, appeal period and all that.
Excellent.
How long is the appeal period?
I think 10 days?
Yes, but it will take a little bit for me to type up the permits, get signatures, and once that's done, I'll give you a call.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, notice of intent, Andrew Stack, Town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works Engineering Division, Pinnacle Street, map 77, DEP 3051082. Hi, good evening. Just introduce yourself for the record.
Andrew Stack, Tewksbury DPW Engineering Division.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Kevin Hogman. I'm the town engineer.
All right, so we got some major issues going on that we need to fix right away.
We do. First off, I want to just state, as the commission's all aware, What's in front of the commission tonight is related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the local wetlands bylaw. If members of the public want to know if there are any other questions about detours or public safety or things like that, I'd be happy to stick around after the meeting and discuss those outside of the meeting, but I want to keep the discussions with the commission to the Wetland Protection Act and local bylaw concerns.
Sounds good. So you'll be outside, doors closed, any questions?
Yep, and if we can find a conference room downstairs, I'll stay as late as anyone needs me to stay to answer questions.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
So I want to talk about first of all, everyone's aware that Pinnacle Street is closed. We had two 48-inch metal pipes under the road right near Lynn's Way. They started to fail. We found sinkholes on the side of the road back in December of 2017. We made some repairs. That bought us some time, but we knew that it had to be addressed to a further extent. We started to engage consultants back in March of 2018, so well over a year ago. We brought the consultants in, put them under contract, got funding approved from Mass DOT for the design of the replacements in around August of 2018. At the same time, we had to make additional repairs to the roadway. We actually had to cut some pavement out, dig down to the pipes, make some repairs, and backfill the road and repave it, hoping that would buy us a little more time so that we could get this design and the permitting completed. Then, the winter rolled around and the road started to deteriorate even more. We've been in the road several times since then. Most notably, in March, we borrowed some steel plates from the town of Wilmington because the DPW didn't have plates large enough. We plated the road to keep it open, and around April 11th, we started to see that the road was settling so much that those plates couldn't sit flat, which is a safety hazard whenever you have a corner of a plate sticking up. So on April 11th, we met with the town manager, police chief, fire chief, and DPW director. We made the decision, hard decision, but we made the decision to close that road for public safety reasons. So that road was closed on April 12th. We've continued to move the design forward and try to get a solution to this. We've immediately talked to DEP. We talked to the Army Corps of Engineers, who have permitting processes that we also have to go through. And then we started to pull information together to file with this commission, which is what we have in front of you tonight. Additionally, on June 7th, we removed the steel plates to see if there was any possible way that we could create a solution to temporarily open that road while we were figuring out a way to repair it. As you can see, from this photograph, when we pulled the plate, there were 5 holes in the pavement. And knowing road construction, and I know some members of the commission know that those holes aren't the extent of it. That's just what's on the surface. What was below it is probably connected, so there was no road base under that pavement anymore. And the length of that is over 16 feet long. And then when we removed plates on the other side, it was similar. So we would love to get this road temporarily open, but unfortunately, we're not at that point. So the road has to stay closed until we can get the repair. So the cause of the failure is the deterioration of the metal pipes, and the water in the brook, Meadow Brook, continues to leave the pipes, take the soil, and send it downstream, basically eroding the roadway from underneath. It's especially dangerous because you don't really know what's going on under that pavement. You cannot see it. So we've made the decision to keep that road closed for safety reasons. As far as the timeline for the repairs, we're in front of the commission tonight. We're still working on additional information that came out of a discussion with DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers last week to get as much information to those regulatory agencies as possible so that we can come up with a viable solution that meets their requirements, meets the requirements of the commission we're in front of tonight, and gets the repair done as quickly as we can. So, the other thing that the repair depends on is fabrication of the culvert itself. It's we're proposing to put in a concrete box culvert. It'll improve the flow through that area. It will increase aquatic passage, which is for, your fish and aquatic species that want to get back and forth on either side of the road, turtles and whatnot, which is a requirement of not only the Army Corps of Engineers, but also the DEP under the Wetlands Protection Act. So one of the things that we're dealing with out there is utilities. We have a gas line above and a water line above the culvert. Below the culvert, and that's within a few inches above the top of the culvert. Within a few inches below the culvert, we have a gravity sewer line, which goes to the pump station across the street. And we also have a sewer force main. So we're really constrained in the height that we have to work with in order to get this project completed. And, like I said, we have to try to meet the stream crossing standards for Mass DEP to the maximum extent we can, which is another challenge with the design that we're working on. So unfortunately, that's why we don't have it finalized tonight, because of comments that came out of the discussions last week, not only with the local conservation agent, but the Army Corps of Engineers and Mass DEP. But we have a consultant who, hasn't put this project down for the last 3 or 4 weeks. We're moving forward as quickly as we can to come up with a viable solution in hopes that we can open the road as soon as possible. Andrew has some information to go over from a technical standpoint, and then,
Is Bill Manuel, he's going to be reviewing the have you been in touch with him as well?
We met with Bill yesterday.
Okay.
And as soon as we have the additional information, that will go to Bill for his review.
All right, super.
So the existing culvert is a twin 48-inch corrugated metal pipe culvert. The subsurface materials were not suitable to support the culvert and the weight of the roadway and the fill. We're proposing replacing it with the subsurface with a 3-foot stone foundation beneath the culvert, and with geogrid reinforcements, and replacing the corrugated metal pipe with an 8x4 precast concrete box culvert. There are wetland impacts caused by related to the project. We do have 73.7 cubic yards of dredging, and that's related to the installation of the stone foundation beneath the culvert. We have a total of 594.5 square feet of permanent land underwater impacts, and that's related to the installation of the new culvert and the foundation. 81.8 square feet of bordering vegetated wetlands are permanently impacted, but we are replicating that same amount on the upstream and downstream side of the culvert, and we have approximately 87 linear feet of bank impacted. But that's the main gist of the design. The roadway grades basically staying the same, other than some minor crowning of the roadway to shed water off. But other than that, that's pretty much the design.
Pretty much the way it is now, no sidewalks or any expansion, nothing like that, right?
No, because any expansion or a widening of that roadway to add sidewalks or bike lanes or anything like that would create additional wetland impacts,
Right.
Which we're trying to minimize.
Okay, super. And we have Bill Manuel, and
I just have, the aquatic life, we have something to prevent beavers from blocking this thing up? Not that we don't have a problem in town.
If that was invented, I'm sure we'd buy as many as we could for Tewksbury. But I digress. We're changing it from a 4-foot diameter culvert, which is much easier for a beaver to plug, to a culvert that's going to be 8 feet wide. So it's going to be much more difficult for a beaver to clog this than the pipes that are there.
Don't underestimate those little guys. Yeah?
Like I said, if someone invents a way to prevent them, then
Yeah.
sign me up.
That's all I have.
How old is the pipe that's in and out? It's failed. Do you have any idea?
It's probably about 30 years old, is what I've learned to understand.
Mr. Polito, Have any questions?
No, I think Mr. Hopkins explained it very thoroughly, and his associates, they doing a great job of what they have.
They have a lot of people looking at the project right now.
Yeah.
Ms. Mercer, you have any questions?
I'm just curious, this new stone foundation you're using, how long has that been sort of in use in engineering versus what was there before that sort of collapsed and caused our issue?
So my understanding is what's there now wasn't engineered.
Okay.
You know, it was something where what was there before that needed to be replaced, so they just pulled that out, threw in a couple pipes, and covered it over.
It's not hard to believe in the day, right?
Right. You know.
So this is a great improvement, and we shouldn't run into this again, so.
Right. This isn't a Band-Aid. You know, this is
Right.
a long-term solution for that
Great,
road.
great.
All right, so this is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on the matter? Please rise, go to the podium. Just introduce yourself for the record. Just up the podium, just introduce yourself for the record.
My name's Bob Russell, and I live on Lynn's Way. The design of this bridge, what is going to be the weight limit on the bridge? Because since it's been closed, we've been able to observe the type of traffic that comes down there now. In the last 3 weeks, we've not turned back, they've had to turn around on our property, tractor trailers, big tractor trailers, loaded tractor trailers. When they leave, they take the trees down, branches down, when they go up, they take the branches down on the other side. So is this going to be allowed, the truck's going to be allowed to go there, and will the bridge be able to take the weight of those vehicles?
Good questions. Probably no weight limits then, right? But
There will be no weight limit on the proposed box culvert.
right, so the fully loaded tractor trailer truck, 10,000 pounds, whatever.
Oh, 10 wheels come down too. I mean,
Yeah.
we never knew, I lived there 10 years, never knew how much traffic there was until people don't understand Pinnacle Street closed,
Right.
seek alternate routes. So they come down and they have to turn around. There's 10-wheeler trucks, some are loaded, some aren't, some are, like I say, the tractor trailers, big rigs.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit above my pay grade here, though. You'd have to probably take up road limitations with like the DPW and the Board of Selectmen, I would imagine.
Well,
To try and get weight limits on the road.
Science ain't gonna help because they don't pay attention to Pinnacle closed and they keep coming.
Yeah, but if there's no weight limit, it's a public road, then anything can go down it as long as they can negotiate the turns.
I'm just curious because if you're gonna put all this money, time, and close it down, you know, in another 10 years, from all the heavy traffic, is it gonna deteriorate again?
Well, I'm hoping that they're engineering something that won't be needed to be replaced for quite a while, if ever. You know, so, yeah, well, that's what they're engineering it for. No weight limit, and for it to last for a really long time.
Okay.
All right?
And when we talk afterwards, you're gonna be able to talk with him about like the public safety issue?
Oh, sure.
Yes, of course. All right, good, super.
Yep. Anyone else? Seeing no one rising, we're going to keep the public hearing open because we're going to continue it to July 10th.
Great.
Right? Everyone okay with that? Can I get a motion to continue?
You're moving on as fast as you can, right? I mean,
Yeah, we are.
I mean, you know, when you were talking water, you might have to do temporary water with the flat, you know. I know what you're up against, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to install temporary water. We're going to have to install temporary gas.
Yeah.
You know, it's a large project.
You don't want to be out there in January.
No, I want to have this open as soon as we possibly can.
All right. So motion toward...
Steve, on the comment, the gentleman's comment, Mr. Hartman's here, with the trucks going down there, maybe there's something the DPW can do to put some signs up telling trucks, you know, road closed trucks, 10-wheelers, whatever, you know, stay out.
You know,
So maybe you can help them out. I know it's
So-
kind of a job.
So as far as the detour goes right now, you know, we go out constantly and check the signs. I was out there when they pulled the plates, and I was shocked at how many people drove down there and thought, road closed, Pinnacle Street closed
And they're
ahead.
going to get through.
not me. That doesn't pertain, you know, so I understand what this gentleman's saying, where people just think it doesn't pertain to them, they come to the end and realize, oh, they weren't kidding, and have to turn around. So, you know, additional signage I don't think would help. As far as after it's repaired, there is a process to go through for truck exclusions, and you know, that's something the DPW could entertain. You know, but you know, that's obviously not a matter for the commission, and that's something that can be brought to us directly.
So they're trying the hardest on the detours, but I almost ignored it myself once. Anyways, so I guess people are getting used to it, though. No? Still troubles?
It was closed for almost 3 months. No, excuse me, 2 months. And I was out there, at one point I was out there for about 30 minutes, and 10 cars came down and turned around.
Wow.
Anyway,
so we have a motion to continue Mr. Manuel, DEP, Army Corps of Engineers. We're all going to get together and get this thing solved.
Yes.
So a motion to continue to July 10th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, just take a few minutes to let the crowd disperse.
Thank you.
Let me just announce, next item on the agenda is a public hearing notice of intent. Joseph Rocha, 44 Layton Lane, map 79, lot 44, DEP 3051083. All right.
Good evening. My name is Maureen Harold from North Environmental Services, here on behalf of Mr. Rocha. We filed a notice of intent with the commission to construct 2 additions. The first addition is located on the southerly side of the dwelling, on the westerly side, closest to the wetland. We're proposing that addition 21 feet at the closest point. And the second addition is proposed on the easterly side of the dwelling. That essentially will be a master bedroom with parking underneath, a garage underneath. I handed out photographs to the commission. I know a lot of you are busy and you actually don't have the opportunity to go out to the site. This house was built in 1971. And it predates the Tewksbury bylaws by about 15 years. The wetland itself is actually from a drainage easement that's located on the property. It's fairly well defined. The outer edge of the wetland has a pretty healthy multiflora rose that demarks the wetland itself. The additions are proposed in an area of lawn, so as you can see from the photographs, no trees will need to be cut. The easterly side of the addition is proposed within also pavement. So minimal work, essentially no grading because the lot itself is fairly flat. We are proposing full foundations. As part of the filing, I requested a variance because we are proposing one of the additions within 25 feet, again in an area of lawn. And the easterly addition is proposed within the 50-foot. So it's a total of 213 square feet that's proposed within the 50-foot, and that would include the addition on the left-hand side of the dwelling. We are proposing erosion controls, a silt sock along the lawn area to prevent any type of erosion into the wetland. And as part of the filing, we also address the presumptions of significance because we are within the 25-foot and requesting that waiver. I can open it up to the commission for any questions.
I see a lot of room on the other side for an addition. Not really sure why you have to poke that part on the left into the no disturb zone. I don't understand what the need is for that.
So it kind of goes with the layout of the existing dwelling and how the interior of the house is laid out right now. So this addition that's proposed on the left-hand side is to expand the living room area.
I don't like it. I see no reason that you need to do that. There's plenty of room for additions on the other side of the house where the proposed addition is, so I just don't see any reason that you need to do that. Anyways. Mr. Holland, do you have any questions or issues?
So I don't have a problem with the one that's down the bottom, the one that's up the top. It's, how many square feet are you cutting into the no build zone?
That's a no disturb.
A no disturb zone?
Yeah.
51 square feet we're proposing within the no disturb in an area of lawn.
So that part of the addition couldn't move closer to the proposed addition?
You mean to the right-hand side of the dwelling?
I see two with the hash marks going through it.
Yes.
Okay, the one up the top. That's you're constructing that also?
Yes.
That couldn't be moved closer to the proposed, one that says proposed addition? And that would take you out of,
That is the front door, right?
Right, so
okay.
between the two proposed additions, that's the entryway into the home. So it's a split family level type home. So right under it where it says roof on the plan is the front door.
okay. I have no problem with the one that has proposed addition, the one that's in the 25-foot buffer.
Okay.
I think there's no need for that either.
Ms. Mercer?
I don't see a way really around it either. I am in agreement with the gentleman before me, unfortunately.
Mr. Polito?
As stated.
Yeah. Mr. Sheehan? So, I mean, certainly, if they need additional room that other addition serves, I understand kind of like the balance of the house, I think I understand what you're trying to do, but still, there's plenty of room on the other side with the proposed addition to do whatever they need to do. So I really don't see any reason. So if you guys want to like come back with some changes to just take off that second addition part that's encroaching into the no disturb zone.
Okay, so just from my knowledge moving forward, there's absolutely no grandfathering for houses that were built prior to the bylaw?
Not for additions,
Okay,
right? I mean, right, yeah. Maybe a deck,
okay,
possibly a deck would maybe, and that's pretty much we know that they're going to go into a lawn around it, so they'll go right up to the edge, and we know they're going to go into the no disturb, but as long as that's existing lawn, but we need something,
okay, well, I'll request a continuance, so can speak to my client about it and look at a possible redesign or relocate the addition.
Okay?
Okay,
Great, thank you.
July 10th?
please.
Okay, can I get a motion, this is a public hearing, anyone to be heard on the matter? Seeing no one rising, can I get a motion to continue to July 10th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Are we in the other one? All right. Next item on the agenda is continued public hearing, notice of intent, Adina Grega, trustee for Adina Braga Living Trust, 110 Fox Run Drive, map 21, lot 97, DEP 3051084.
Hi, my name is Mason Garino. I'm here on behalf of Adina Braga.
Hi, Maureen Hanley, North Environmental Services. This is for Fox Run.
Yep.
Okay, so we filed a notice of intent with the commission for a proposing round pool, a patio, a fire pit. In addition, we'd like to cut 3 trees. They're X'd out on the plan, on your plan. They're either notched or have evidence of rot or are leaning onto the property. Those trees are located close to the wetland. We would propose to cut those trees and leave the stumps in that location.
So now we have a no disturb situation where you have a hazard that you need to take down.
Right.
So we don't like trees falling on people. And those things are... Where are the trees on the map?
So the trees are located near Wetland Flag 2A, in between Wetland Flag 4A and 5A.
Oh, they're right on the edge, huh?
Yes. But I spoke to the homeowner, and, they're just willing to keep the stumps if the commission would allow the trees to be removed.
And you're going to leave the stump, you said?
Yes. So essentially, it's complete lawn area up to those trees, if you can tell from the photographs.
It's like you pretty much have that stone going up against the wetland flags there.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the big reason is the lawn fertilizer coming off the lawn into the wetlands. That's primarily that 25-foot no disturb zone, is to prevent all the extra nitrogen and stuff from your lawn, all the yard waste that you might dump over there or anything like that from going into the wetlands. That's the purpose of the 25-foot no disturb. Now, to cut down trees, which are, in the no disturb zone, they are habitat. They're well away from the house, so not really sure what they're, I understand it seems like you're just trying to expand the backyard even further. And I would say that we should probably go the opposite and, establish that proposed straw wattle as the new, as the new no disturb zone, and actually let the lawn go back to its natural state rather than what it's at right now. That would be my preference. But considering the age of the home is from the 90s when we had the 10-foot, personally to me, maybe a 10-foot if you have existing lawn, but I don't like the idea of taking down those trees because it just sounds like they just want to get closer and closer to the wetlands, put in lawn area, and unless they're towering But even then, it's like a fallen tree is habitat for animals. So
That's if it falls into the wetland. If it falls
That's even
towards
better.
the house,
Yeah.
you're going to have a problem. And where the stone wall is on the plan itself, it's a pretty good drop off to the wetland that's there. So you're right. I mean, the part of the 25-foot no disturb, or pretty much all of the 25-foot no disturb, is lawn area up to the stone wall. And then the wetland is a pretty good drop off, a topographic break to the wetland itself.
well, how about this? I don't know. It's like, it really has come to, all right, if you take down the trees but then establish, well, I guess you want to do the proposed patios right at the no disturb, that would be ideal. You can cut down the trees, but just like let some of that lawn just return. We need some sort of buffer, a barrier between this lawn area and those wetlands. There's nothing there right now to protect those wetlands from the runoff from its property. You know, and that's what we're trying to prevent.
I understand.
It's runoff from the property going into the wetlands and making the wetlands less functional.
What about a 10-foot no disturb like you suggested earlier? Would that be appropriate?
I think if we establish a 10-foot no disturb zone, you know, put the straw wattles there too, or
Okay.
wherever you think the slope is necessary.
Okay.
But, you know, to just, I'm speaking out of turn right now. It's like I'd just leave it up to the commission to, you know, let them take the trees and trim them to prevent any sort of hazard from a falling tree onto their pool area, but just to establish a no disturb zone of at least 10 feet, you know, to protect those wetlands from it looks like a really nice lawn, so I know they're using nice fertilizer, so. I'll just put it to Mr. Holland.
I don't have any issues with taking the trees down and leaving the stumps, as long as the rest of the tree is hauled away. But the shed is in the no disturb zone too?
Yes, a portion of the shed is within the no disturb, a small corner of it. But if the commission goes with the 10-foot no disturb line, then it would not be
apply.
within it.
All right, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Mercer?
I think that sounds fine.
What is the actual height of the trees that's sloping down? I mean, what are they, 80 foot, 50 foot?
They're at least 70 to 75 feet tall maple trees.
So what you're saying is the endangerment of, what I'm looking at here is his pool. The trees coming down, is that what that?
Right, so the tree that's near wetland flag 2A, that's leaning on towards the lawn area. And the other two trees near 4 and 5A, they have rot in them, insects in them. They just don't look healthy. They'll eventually.
Did you have an arborist look at them to see if they are diseased?
No, but you know, you can look up a tree and you can see a hole in a tree and see rot, or you can see limbs that are dead. So.
What idea, Steve? I mean, you know,
It's sort of like we don't want to prevent people from taking down trees that are hazardous, that just because they're in the no disturb zone. So this is probably good from the sense that, okay, you can take them down, they're a hazard, we allow that, and we certainly wouldn't want to prevent a homeowner from taking down a tree that's, you know, a hazard to their property and to life. That's definitely a waiver. We have waivers for, you know, health and safety. But again, so I think that if they establish that 10-foot no disturb zone, let it reestablish from lawn to its natural state so that we do have a barrier from their usage into the wetlands, which is, you know, got to be even more intense with all the activity going on in the backyard, you know, so.
Okay.
Right, dumping, I don't know. Yeah.
My concern is only that safety, when it's going to be children over there or something. That's,
Yeah, so we'll allow the trees to be trimmed, but also establish a 10-foot no disturb.
Exactly.
So that the lawn area.
The safety of the
Yeah.
the residents that are there, right?
Yeah. Did you have some?
Trimmed or cut?
I want him, we'll let him cut them.
As long as I leave the stump, right? You're gonna leave the stump?
Yes, we'll leave the stumps.
Yeah.
And you'll haul the excess off-site, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, this is a notice of intent. Public hearing. Anyone to be heard on this matter for 110 Fox Run Drive? Okay, so I think we're all set. So we're just going to, so keep the plan, establish proposed straw wattle, but also prepare a 10-foot no disturb zone around the wetlands. And we'll allow you to cut the hazardous trees and leave the stumps behind. So 2 conditions, cut the trees, leave the stumps behind, and a 10-foot no disturb zone to be maintained in perpetuity. Is that it? I'm good.
Is that your motion?
Second?
Second.
That, okay, so Mr. Ippolito makes a motion to that effect.
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. And next item on the agenda is continued from June 5th, a public hearing request for determination of applicability. Stephen Johnson, Mass DEP, Hill Street, map 97, lot 1. Good evening, just introduce yourself for the record, please.
I'm Steve Johnson from Mass DEP.
And I'm Brian Garinger with Watermark Environmental.
All right, so we're here to do some environmental site assessments.
So maybe I could give you some background.
Yep.
I work in the wayside cleanup program at Mass DEP, and as part of the a settlement for the Sutton Brook Superfund site, there was money that was put aside for natural resource damage, natural resource restoration projects. And so we have this funding, and we have been working with the town, a couple town officials, including Stefania, to identify some good projects for habitat restoration and floodplain restoration, that kind of thing. And when we did some site visits, and when we went to this Hill Street and Molly Drive property, we saw quite a bit of metallic metal, like an engine and a back end of a truck, and something that looked like an oil storage tank. So before we decide that we might want to do a restoration plan there, we feel we need to know more about what we're digging into. And we did a electromagnetic geophysical survey, and we surveyed the property to see if there's any buried metallic objects in addition to what you could see on the ground surface. And we got a number of what's the word?
Anomalies.
Anomalies, thank you, yeah. So we'd like to do some test pitting, and that's the purpose of us coming here tonight. We'd like to do some test pitting. We feel like there's some mounded areas that we got anomaly hits, and we want to make sure that if it's just residential solid waste rather than any types of drums or tanks or that kind of thing. And we're also going to collect a limited number of soil samples just to make sure if we did find some oily contaminated soils, then we'd be prepared to manage that if we took this on as a restoration project.
It's interesting because about 15 years ago, I forget who it was, they came in and identified this property as for wetland restoration, believe it or not. And we saw those drums and whatnot in the property, and you're kind of scared of kind of like turning over a leaf. So is this like a 41E or something a little bit less?
You're thinking about 21E?
21E, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's kind of the next step. Like a
Next step above?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you're actually doing some physical work at the site.
So if we have a drum full of old motor oil buried on the property, whose problem is that?
Well, the town has, it's a town-owned property, so the
Right.
town has liability.
Right.
But if we can justify the use of the natural resource damage funding,
Right.
then we could do that, That's something that would be part of the restoration.
All right.
So we just want to make sure that we're not biting into something that we can't swallow in terms of what might be there. If there was a significant number of buried drums, that kind of thing, then I'm not sure that we could take that on at this point.
But if you did find them, is the town then liable for the
Yes.
cleanup?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of like saying, let sleeping dogs lie.
Well, this has been a property that, you said that 15 or more years ago, I know one report I looked at was dated 2003, and identified this parcel as a great parcel for wetlands restoration, taking the fill that's obviously been put in there,
Right.
Restoring the natural grade and restoring habitat both in the river and the wetlands.
Yep.
And so if you don't do what we're proposing to do, then it stays in its current status, and I'm not sure that's a good thing either. There are,
Yeah, it seems to be like a lot of household type waste also. I mean, usually at a drum site, you'll see some bunch of drums popping out everywhere, but
Oh, you didn't see the drums?
I mean,
we saw one.
Yeah.
one drum and like one oil tank, right?
Yeah. So residential, probably,
And I think you want to.
it was like a 250-gallon oil thing from a residence, or?
The oil tank was about,
Yeah.
275 is the typical
Right,
size.
so, and then an engine block or something, you said?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too...
We're not scared off at this point.
All right, that would be my only concern, would be opening up the town to liability, but it doesn't sound like it was anything like Sutton Brook.
No. In fact, these funds came from the Sutton Brook,
Right.
the Rocco's landfill.
Might as well take care of it now, right, if we have
Well,
something
that's my
going on.
thinking, yeah. And we have some funding, and this might be an opportune time to restore a property and for future use.
Yeah.
And the town manager is aware of this. We need to get an access agreement from the town to do this work, so.
Okay, so he knows what's going on.
It's on the up and up, and I explained the liability provisions to Kevin Hardiman. He's familiar with the 21E program and that.
There was a garage here years ago, right?
I'm not sure if it was a garage. Yeah.
Right behind the KFC, I remember.
There was some historical information in the Phase 1
Yeah, there was-
environmental site assessment.
Yeah, there are some foundations that you definitely see.
Used to enter it from the KFC, and it would probably be at the end of Molly Drive in that vicinity. I used to go there.
Yeah, we actually got this from the town, this Phase 1 environmental site assessment that was conducted in 2003. And so I guess I don't remember exactly what the history that they identified, but you can clearly see that there's remnants of a foundation there.
Okay. Mr. Holland?
I actually like the idea because I'm kind of curious now what's there. Not only for my curiosity, but for the safety of the neighbors. How hazardous the material is. Now, you were going to report back here with your results, correct?
When we do the testing, we have to give the results to the city, the town, within 30 days.
Okay.
Now, if you want me to come back to this commission...
All you have to do is send us a copy of what the results are. And I do think it's not costing us anything, and it's for the protection of the residents of this town, so I kind of support it.
Yep, sounds right. Ms. Mercer?
I agree. This is the first step if we're going to heal this property, so let's do it. We got to know what's in there.
Fine, let's get it done.
All right, so this is a public hearing Anyone to be heard on the matter? Yes, ma'am. Just introduce yourself at the podium.
Hi, I'm Angie Doucette. My mom and I live at 32 Hill Street. So I have a couple questions. One, is it that whole area behind all of the houses, like, or is it just Molly Drive area?
It's most of that area behind the houses. There is a elongated sliver that is not part of the property. But we have, you know, you could look at the assessor's office and you could see this is, I think it says map 97 lot 1. And if you looked at that, you'd see it's a very irregular shaped parcel that goes behind all of the houses on Hill Street and Molly Drive.
Okay. And then what you have to do for testing, is that disturbing what's out there? I mean, because we see deer all the time, there's an owl out there, and I just didn't understand really what you were going to be doing to figure out what's what.
Yeah, we're going to dig test pits. So we're going to have an excavator, not a huge one, but larger than a bobcat. And we're going to dig down to see what's in these areas that triggered this electromagnetic survey, okay? And then when we do that, if we find anything, we have some handheld meters, and if anything, if we record anything that indicates that it might be pollution, we will take a sample at that time. We don't have to do any borings or any other kind of invasive work afterwards. Once we figure out what's there, then we're going to fill the test pit back in, you know, to where it is now.
And are you doing many of those test pits?
We're going to be out there for 2 days. We're planning to do 2 days, and we're estimating somewhere like 25 or 30 different test pits.
And we're not worried about disturbing the animals or anything in that
I mean, the test pits themselves will be probably 1 to 2 feet wide and about 4 feet deep, maybe at the most.
Do we already know when we're planning on doing this?
Well, we have the time period we need to wait, so we're looking at probably mid to late July.
Okay. And you have a lot of money to fix everything if you find it?
There's never enough. There's never enough, but you know, it is an opportunity whereas this money exists, we're going to use it for projects in Tewksbury, and this has been on the radar screen of the different environmental groups and city officials, town officials, for many years. And so, to me, this is a good opportunity to use the funding that is available through this source.
And so I'm guessing you've already been out there?
Yep.
And have you made markings? Because I know behind, we saw like orange on trees and stuff. Does that mean that's probably where you're digging?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
The flags.
Well, some of the flags were for the property boundary.
Okay.
And then like the pink flags were for some of the anomalies.
Oh,
we also
okay.
did some transect
Oh,
lines.
the orange was boundary?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And would we be able to get copies of the report when it's done, the residents?
Yeah, just about everything we do is public record.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
So you will have to ask.
Okay. Who would we ask? Not
Me.
Oh, okay. And
You could always reach out to my office. So I'm in the community development office. My
Okay.
name's Stefania. And then I could reach out and get whatever you needed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Hi, just introduce yourself for the record at the podium.
Hi, Mike Covell, 65 Wyndham Road. Just wondering, like, is there any other reason for the test pits? Is there any proposed structures going on there for the future or something? Is it just strictly for environmental?
Well, we certainly have no plans for that. It's town-owned land, and we're doing this. What's that?
How many acres is it?
5 point something.
Would you guys know if it would ever be built on?
It won't be built on. What I was given information on years ago is that it's an ideal property for restoration of floodplain because of all the activity that goes on in Main Street and Shawsheen and all the flooding that goes
You
on.
guys are talking about, I looked directly over to.
Right. So
You guys are out there with your excavators, I'll be looking at it.
yeah. So it'd be for like wetland restoration, floodplain restoration, things like that. Nothing's going to be built on it, but I'm not going to say it's not going to be regraded and things are going to be done to it to like enhance the enhance the Shawshene River. It'd all be for
Is it
enhancement.
conservation land that town of Tewksbury owns?
Pardon me?
Is that land that you're talking about conservation land?
It's just town-owned land.
Town-owned land, what does that mean? Like, is it conservation? What is it used for?
So are you asking, is it like open space land, conservation
Yeah,
restriction?
can it be built on?
Or are you asking, is it wetlands protected?
Yes.
So some of it is, some of it's floodplain, and a lot of it is riverfront, and there's certain laws that you have to follow when working in those areas. So, I mean, it all depends on what part of the property you're looking at.
But no building's going to be built.
That's all.
Yeah, no buildings are ever going to be built there. It's town-owned land, it's riverfront, it's floodplain. Nothing's going to be built, but it's going to be enhancing the Shawshene River in that area for flood control now. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? All right. So I think we have all the information we need. You're just looking for a negative determination, right?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's close the
Did I close the public hearing? I got to close the public hearing. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And as for the motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of looking forward to see what he finds.
All right. Next item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance from J.J. Phelan and Sons, 1029 East Street, map 103, lot 129, DEP 305841. And we have a report from Mr., I think I saw a report from Mr. Erickson, right? He's saying everything's going along great.
I see.
Pictures that I saw?
Didn't we just have a letter from him?
Yeah, here we go. Stephen Erickson. Yeah, May 23rd, 2019. Yeah, so it looks like they're not looking for the certificate of compliance right now, just, this is kind of like an update for it? Is that what's going on?
Correct. The commission was looking for an update and a report.
All right, so everything looks all right except for a couple of spots look pretty corroded. Is going to be restored?
That's from August of last year.
Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, before and after is very good. Okay. So this is, Mr. Holland, any questions?
No questions. Seems like it's coming in pretty good.
I stopped by the
Sounds
site.
good? Yeah. All right. So this is a,
So I think what would be a good idea, and what it seems like they're asking for in their report, is to take another look in the fall.
okay. So do you want to continue this until first meeting in October? Is that what they're looking to do? And then we'll take a look at it and then give them their certificate of compliance if everything's okay? Does that sound reasonable? Beginning of October?
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, whenever that is, I'm not sure of the schedule. Anyone got a quick calendar?
I do.
October 9th? Okay, can I get a motion to continue to October 9th?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, and next item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance for LGH Medical Services, care of Joel Kahn, 1574 Main Street, map 73, lot 25, DEP number 3051034. Viewed, site is stabilized. Everything's looking good. Hi.
Hi, Mira Alanoli with Civil Design Consultants. Here to request a certificate of compliance for Circle Health, which is located at 1574 Main Street. We've addressed DPW's comments. We received their approval in the middle of May. Bond released was The bond was released on June 3rd at the planning board meeting, and we provided an as-built, and it's been built according to the plan. There were some minor changes, but everything was out of conservation jurisdiction.
So everything's good to go. Looks like a nice building, too. Any questions from Machine?
No.
Public hearing, anyone to be heard? See no one rising. So we all set, Stefania, right? All right, so
No, it's not a public hearing.
The erosion controls, that would be my only comment, is those can come out now that everything's done.
Perfect.
Okay, so do we have to say anything else other than crest? Okay, so can I get a motion to grant a certificate of compliance?
Steve, did you close the public hearing?
I don't think there was. All right, motion to close public hearing? Second. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, so for this one, grant a motion, grant the certificate of compliance, referencing book 28620, page 243. Final order of conditions was recorded there. I get a motion to that effect?
Good move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, is that right? Next item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Just going through my paperwork. Continue from June 5th, notification of work, Shawshene River Watershed Association, DEP 3051048. Hi, good evening. Thanks for your patience. Just introduce yourself for the record.
Lori Hartwick, President of the Shawshene River Watershed Association, as of tonight.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maria Fleming, 30 Bridge Street.
All right, so we're looking to do some
We'd like-
blanket order conditions for trail work. So how do people get trees removed from the Shawshene River? Just give you a call?
Actually, we do get phone calls from people from Bedford through Andover.
Yeah.
But generally, we focus on the work that we feel we can manage.
Right, right.
We don't attend to
Not
all
out there with
calls.
chainsaws and canoes, are you?
No, we don't. Well, we now have a canoe, but most of our work is handsaw and
Okay.
battery-powered pole saw.
Okay.
Loppers.
All right, cool. So
Yeah.
no, all right, that sounds reasonable. Good. And you're just here as part of like the notification prior approval process, right? Yeah. Any specific areas we're concentrating on?
What we're doing right now is, hopefully this Saturday, is the Bridge Street.
Uh-huh.
That section where all the trees are falling over, is to cut those back somewhat.
Right.
So the path is clear.
For the canoes to get through?
Correct.
Very good.
Kayaks.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a map that indicates all the blockages, that some of these are from even 2 winters ago, that go
Okay.
up to the Vale Street Marsh. But the work is so time-consuming that we're not really sure how far we'll get. But we definitely want to start in the Bridge Street area, moving downstream.
Sounds good. I'm sure a lot of people will be looking forward to that. Mr. Holland, any questions?
No, none.
Good luck.
All right. So I don't think we need to make any motions, right? No, just notified. Thank you very much for the notification.
All right, thank you.
If you could email me when you guys do the work, just in case I get any calls, I know what's going on and I can explain.
Absolutely. We'll send you an email tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is an enforcement order ratification, Lawrence and Katie Mataka, 90 Autumn Lane, map 18, lot 128. Clearing of vegetation.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi, Maureen Harold, Norse Environmental. I'm here today with Katie Mataka.
Hello.
Hi.
So the commission had issued an enforcement order for cutting within a wetland area located right beside their home. They promptly called us to come out to take a look at the site as well as flag the wetlands. So I put 9 flags up last week. Reviewed the area. The area is starting to bounce back out on its own. But I did suggest that we could put some native plants within this area that's been cut. It's obviously an error by the homeowner. It wasn't done intentionally. They weren't aware that there was any wetland on their property. So I was thinking we could probably plant 4 to 5 shrubs, have it be high bush blueberry, some winterberry in that area, some arrowwood, all native plants to this area.
Stefania, what do you think about that?
I think that that's a good idea. I mean, it seemed like an area that would just bounce back if it was left alone.
So do you even think it needs the bushes?
The pictures that you have there from earlier in the spring, as of right now, there's a lot of vegetation that has bounced back. I don't know if that helps your decision.
Yeah.
But we
I
haven't
mean,
really done anything since we received the order.
I'm torn of whether just let it go back or to go in there and start planting bushes and, I don't know, what's the commission think on that? Like, just let it go back to the way it was, and I don't think planting bushes is gonna necessarily improve the situation.
Okay.
I agree. I think you just let it come back naturally.
I appreciate you going through all the efforts and whatnot, getting the wetland scientists, so
Absolutely.
don't want to create an additional monetary burden on you that really doesn't serve any real purpose.
Thank you very much.
All right, so just continue on, and should we, what should we do with this?
So my enforcement order did say allow it to revegetate and plant if necessary. So I think if we ratified this enforcement order,
Yep.
that would be
All right.
fine. I don't think we need to amend anything.
Okay.
Okay.
And then for the actual restoration, it's
It
going along pretty well
says
now, so.
reevaluate September 2019. So if that sounds good, I
Okay.
could set up something in September. I know you might be moving.
Yes, we've sold our house to a couple who are going to be moving in. They're already aware of the situation and are more than willing to work with the commission. And we've sent them the enforcement order, and they know everything that's happening.
Okay. Just as long as when I come in September, I don't have problems. I think that's.
Yeah, they know you're coming in September.
Okay.
And even if you could give us, if you give us like a time frame, beginning or end of September, we'll make sure to relay that to them as well.
Okay. So you'll see it, you'll look at the end of September, and then we'll put the property back in compliance on October 9th or September 18th? Yeah, why don't we do October 9th, keep it even, we got another one. All right, so October 9th, you won't have to show up if everything's in order or your new owners. We're just gonna take a look in September. If everything's looking great, then we'll just bring the property back into compliance on October 9th.
Great.
All right?
Great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
All right. So, yeah, so I need a motion to ratify the enforcement order.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And to amend the enforcement order for no new vegetation need to be planted, just let the land grow back naturally, and we'll take a look at it at the end of September, and October 9th, if everything's fine, we'll bring the property back into compliance. All right, motion to that effect?
That's moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Ms. Gallo, if you could get me a copy of that amended
Yes, absolutely.
enforcement order so I can send that over to the new owners, that would be nice.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance, Bertrand De Rolu. Sorry about that, 61 Harold Place, DEP 305688. Outstanding order conditions, no concerns. Okay, so do we have to refer to anything? Book. All right, so we got book 11778, page 1. All right. Any concerns from anyone?
None.
So I think what we need is a motion to grant a certificate of compliance for Bertrand D. Rouleau, the property, and it was on a final order of conditions in the book 11778, page 1. Can I get a motion to that
So moved.
effect? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So we should be all set. Right page. Request for, next item on the agenda, request for certificate of compliance, Thomas B. Hodgson, East Street, 31 Spalding Court, DP 305526. We're looking for, you're saying a partial COC for the subdivision of Spalding Court, so here, okay. So we have, final order of conditions was 08033, page 178. Is that for the entire project, though? Okay, and this is,
Yeah, I believe it was for the whole Spalding Court subdivision off of East Street.
we got a lot 51 on here. Map 61.
So, let me look real quick, hold on. So, the current map and lot is, it's for 31 Spalding Court, map 61, lot 118. So that's the current one, and it's for lot 51C of the East Street subdivision.
Okay, so just say it like that?
I think that should be fine
We don't
for
have
the
to reference
partial.
a book and page?
You can, I don't know.
Because I see, well, I mean, for a title search, so if it's 08, I have the, who wrote this?
That,
The applicant?
that's the request.
That's the request for, it was,
So this is the order, and that's the book and the page for this order.
okay. And it says map 61, lot 51.
And that was for when it was East Street, when it was that lot, and then they
Okay.
subdivided it.
So what we grant is a partial certificate of compliance for lot 51C of the East Street subdivision, now 31 Spalding Court, map 61, lot 118, referencing book and page 08033, page 178. Final order of conditions was on that book and page, but this is a partial release on that. Make sense?
Makes sense.
I get a motion to that effect? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All right. Thomas Hodgson. Oh, I see that stuff. We have, next order is an enforcement order update for Michael Spence, 3 Bailey Road, map 40, lot 46.
So I have all the information from the enforcement order that was issued. The original one was issued December 2018. It was for cutting vegetation and clearing within the wetland and the buffer zones. So they had the wetlands flagged by Norse, so there definitely was wetland alterations. They've cleaned up a lot of the debris that was out there. There's still just some minor work that needs to be done. So at this time, I did go out there and they are questioning what needs to be revegetated of the no disturb, since some of that buffer zone previously was lawn before they had done the violation. So they're wondering if that
So-
all needs to be revegetated.
So they want revegetated naturally,
Correct.
right?
So,
So they're having an issue with the 25-foot no disturb zone that we established?
I don't know necessarily if it's an issue or they just want clarification.
But as long as they understand, the bigger the no disturb zone, the better the protection of the resources. So we've been sort of like existing lawn, you know, like, kind of like, I don't know, who wants to take this on?
I would just turn around and say that the entire thing has to be done because of the fact that you're right, it is protecting the wetland.
Right.
You know,
So it's the commission's desire that the full 25-foot no disturb zone is revegetated to protect the wetland resources properly. So, that makes sense? Do you want us to make any sort of motion to that effect?
I think it's just a relation of the said, because it's an enforcement order update. So just updating, they're asking us a question. We're gonna reply.
And we gave them a reply.
Do we want any deadlines? Because at this point, the last deadline was in May. I would inspect and see how the area is looking. Because the ground was solid for so long, the wetlands weren't.
Well, it looks like our next meeting is October 9th to inspect all these.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just make them, make a motion to amend it that October 9th will be our determination of whether the restoration is satisfactory. Does that make sense?
Okay, so amend the original enforcement order to now, to include another condition, or?
No, just just similar conditions, but just saying the deadline, well, our next inspection report will be on October 9th. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it will,
Well, at the end of September, we're going to take a look at it, and then we'll discuss October 9th, whether everything's going along satisfactorily.
3-4 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing October 9th, it seems to be the inspection day. Does that make sense to you? All right, so can I have a motion to that effect?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And for an enforcement order update from Drussello Bella Aluco, sorry about that, 170 Bradford Road, map 111, lot 57.
all right, so this was last before the commission for an update, May 1st, and the commission wanted them to comply with all the conditions in the enforcement order, including having a wetland scientist come out and take a look at all the resource areas. However, you did not require them to have engineered plans and a survey done of the floodplain, and they were given a 60-day deadline. So a wetland report was submitted and is provided to you. And the findings in the report, just to summarize, is that they believe the fill has been removed from the floodplain. It looks like they have complied with the enforcement order, but none of this was confirmed with survey, just by looking at maps and the site.
So you're going to take a visit out there?
Yeah, I can take another visit. I don't think it's changed since my last visit, but I can go back out.
So, all right, yeah, I remember this one. So things are going along pretty well according to this wetland report. Fill's been removed and it's starting to revegetate. What was that? I'm looking for the report. with me. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh. What do you think? Just, we don't have to do anything right now? Just let it restore naturally?
So right now it's dirt. So he's waiting to see if he can stabilize. I'm assuming he's going to make it lawn, and then the area that slopes down is then going to be left alone.
All right. Sounds good.
So,
All right, so just leave it alone for now, since it is just an update, and just go out there and take a look at it at the end of August or something like that.
okay.
Make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Photos 2 of 5 on the grading that was done there looks pretty suitable. You go to 3.5, and where the area around the trees, what kind of fill is that? I mean, it looks like just crushed stone, crushed rocks put on the trees. Is that, we call that suitable fill? You go further, going 4 or 5, and take a real good look at it. Looks like just some heavy crushed stone. And then looking at 5.5, I mean, it's hard to make a determination of what did they use for fill.
So what do you want to do, Mr. Ippolito?
Well, is the fill all spread now? Now it's just stabilizing?
Yes, the fill's spread. There's a grade change, a dramatic grade change from probably 4 feet down. So it used to slope gradually down. Now there's just a change. It might be one where the commission wants to go out and see it for themselves.
Is there any way to have them come before the board and explain this? Like, you look at 404.
Hey,
the original site, you know?
Paul, can you take over the meeting? I gotta leave.
Sure.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do, just have to take individually take a run by, just to see what it looks like.
Yeah. So do we want to just continue it? Leave it open?
Yeah, just leave it open.
I mean, there's no way to tell, I suppose, if that fill will vegetate. It does look rocky, and it doesn't look like good stuff, but who knows? Seed could take. Okay. Where am I at?
So are we checking back with this?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So do I need a motion to continue that?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion stated, yeah.
Can I get a second?
Second.
When do we continue it?
The update, I guess? Do we not need to do that, or can we just?
Now, this is an enforcement order update.
Yeah, it's just an update.
Okay, so.
An update.
I just need clarification for myself so that I can plan another site visit with it.
Okay.
So am I checking back in 2 months? Am I checking back in the fall? Do we need him to do anything? Because I think he's looking to just seed and move on with this. So if we're not satisfied, this is the time to speak, not when it's stabilized.
Okay. So is the commission not satisfied with the photos, with what it looks like he's filled it with?
I'd rather him leave what he has there down, instead of redisturbing something.
Right.
So that's why I just wanted, it's an update for today, but we can have an update on our next meeting in July.
Okay, so we're going to say that he's allowed to seed it and stabilize it?
Yes.
Okay.
And we did give him 60 days, and that was from May 1st, so it has not been 60 days yet, I believe.
60 days to comply with the rest of the enforcement order.
Right, which he hasn't,
So
the 60 days.
So he
isn't-
got a report from a wetland scientist that states they believe he complied with the enforcement order and removed the fill from the buffer zone of the vegetated wetland and from the bordering land subject to flooding.
Now, what was the other requirement that we had him do?
Okay, so if we go back to my memo, April 29th, 2019, at that time, it went through all of the conditions to see what has been done and what hasn't been done. So condition 1, come to the meeting December 19th, that was done.
Okay.
The second one, put up erosion controls, schedule site visits, that was done. The third, obtain a wetland scientist to delineate the wetland resource areas on site or abutting the site as soon as possible. So that was not done in April, but it has been done now.
Okay.
And there's a report. And then 4, remove all fill within the buffer zone of the bordering vegetated wetland and within bordering land subject to flooding by February, and then schedule a site inspection. So I went out there after he believed he removed the fill, but it's really hard to tell if fill is removed from bordering land subject to flooding. So he had someone evaluate that like the commission had requested on May 1st. So, and they submitted that report.
And that's the one we just read.
Right. So if we go by those 4 conditions,
He has met.
he has met the conditions. However, whether the commission's satisfied with how the conditions have been met, with the fill, with how it looks out there, that's a different question, but the conditions are met.
I say we give it to the next meeting and see what grows there. See if any, but like you said, he has met all the requirements that we required of him. You know, and this is just an update, so we'll have an update for the next meeting, and we can make a decision there whether to remove the enforcement order or not.
That sounds great. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a Wetland Protection Fund request. Richard Montori. He is requesting $2,000 from the Wetlands Protection Fund for the Pinnacle Notice of Intent peer review. Stefani, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, this is just for that Pinnacle culvert.
Okay. So can I get a motion to approve that fund request?
As stated, 2,000.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a tree removal request, 18 Druid Hill Avenue, map 98, lot 27. Looks like they want to remove some trees within a few feet of the Shawshene River. These trees look like they pose a risk.
So with trees, typically, if they're within the buffer zone, the commission has given me administrative approval to remove hazardous trees. So these trees are very close to the river, so I did not want to make this decision without consulting you. So if you look at the tree letter that was provided by the arborist, in his opinion, the trees should be removed because they are a threat. So they're looking to do it without coming back for a permit and going through the public hearing process, since they are hazardous.
I don't have a problem, Mr. Chairman. I think if it's a safety issue, I say remove the trees.
Okay. Mr. Ippolito? Okay. Mr. Sheehan?
Yeah, take them down.
Okay.
No problem.
All right, so can I get do I need a motion for that?
Motion is,
Motion to remove the trees at 18 Druid Hill Avenue. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we have another tree removal request, Farwood Road, map 7, lot 72.
This one is here because it's open space, which is managed by this board, so.
Is that the letter we got from?
Yes, from Brian Gilbert, yep.
Yeah. And the town will be removing the trees, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a problem with
Okay.
that.
No, I'm good.
Mr. Ippolito?
good.
Okay, looks good to me too. Can I get a motion for that approval?
I move it.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Stefania, do we have any old business?
No, I have a quick update. Sorry, I know it's late. So the National Grid substation project, just want to make the commission aware. So for this site, we are having bill manual review and monitor every few weeks. So there's been a few problems for this project, mainly with abiding by the established work protocols, and there's been a lack of planning and a few incidents and just insufficient oversight, specifically when working within wetlands. And so I met with them, with Bill and with VHB, which is their environmental monitor, and I've had conversations with National Grid, and they are taking action to address the issues. So they will now have an environmental monitor on site daily, and they will conduct an incident analysis to determine corrective actions, which will likely include training in environmental awareness. So I just wanted the commission to be aware if they think that something else needs to be done, they can let me know. But Bill is still monitoring, and I've been going out more often as well.
That sounds good to me.
New business?
New business?
I have one thing. I would like to thank Nicole for her service.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it very much. It's been fun. It's been great working with you. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I don't think we're going to find
Thank
anybody to
you.
replace you.
I'm sad to leave. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Good, adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.